What is up, fam? Welcome to the Dynasty Fam Podcast. Today we're going to be talking to you about our top 5 buys for pretender rosters, right? So we're talking about rebuild rosters. So not all buy low players are fit for a rebuild team. So assuming you have your first round picks, right, your strategy is basically tanking for your 2024 picks. So there are some players that you're going to want to buy, but not all players, right, are going to be fit based on your roster. So some examples of this, like if you were rebuild mode, you probably don't want guys like Deontay Johnson, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. But maybe if you are contending, right, competing for that championship, those guys would probably help your roster. But really for this, we're looking at, if we're really in a rebuild mode, who are some players that we can kind of buy that are going to help us for our future. So we're looking at acquiring players that are still younger, right? Looking at players that are maybe too low on the market that have a chance of either bouncing back or just increasing in value over the next year or two. So our first buy for your rebuild rosters is going to be Wan'Dale Robinson. So Robinson is the wide receiver 52 on DLF ADP and the wide receiver 56 on Keep Trade Cut. So right now, guys, we've only had a small sample size, right? But he showed flashes of his talent as a rookie, right? So he has an injury that sets him back. He only played 6 games, but in those 6 games, 19.6% target share, guys. That's a solid target share as a rookie. And we also know the wide receiver room is wide open there. They keep adding receiver after receiver, right? Mediocre receiver after mediocre receiver, bring in Paris Campbell, Jamison Crowder. Lately, as of recent, they brought in Cole Beasley, as well as they drafted Jalen Hyatt, who was not off to a good start, right? Rookie camp did not sound good. His first few days at camp, the reports were not good for Jalen Hyatt. And then after that, that's when they bring in Cole Beasley. So it's not looking like they like the wide receiver room that they have. So I think that Wan'Dale Robinson is definitely going to get a shot. He's going to be the perfect guy for your roster right now because he's going to be out to start the season, as he had that ACL tear, I believe it was like in week 11. So going to be out to start the year, so he's not getting you points, but he's going to be also someone you can maybe put in your IR spot if you have IR spots, and add another player that maybe you want to take a risk on, probably like a backup RB, just to see, just in case maybe they get a shot, and you can even add some more value to your roster that way. So going back to Wan'Dale Robinson, guys, we talked about the target share. Also, the route participation, guys, only 65.9% route participation. So there's still room for him to improve and to increase in his snap share and get more opportunity on the field. 1.76 yards per route run. That was right behind Garrett Wilson, who was at 1.85. Fantasy points per game was 8.6. Fantasy points per target was 1.66. That fantasy points per target was above Garrett Wilson. So we know that he can make plays, guys, if he gets opportunity and he gets on the field. And like I said, I think he's going to have that opportunity probably right, maybe around mid-season for you. So if he comes out and shows some of those things that he's already shown as a rookie, guys, he's only 22 years old. So I think he's somebody that definitely can increase in value over the next season. Now moving into our next wide receiver is going to be Elijah Moore, the wide receiver 39 on DLF, wide receiver 43 on Keep Trade Cut. So right now, guys, we know Elijah Moore already going to be going into his 3rd season, but still only 23 years old. Drafted out of Ole Miss, had a good college career, 1,000 plus yards receiving as a junior, almost 900 yards as a sophomore. So playing alongside Jonathan Mingo also, guys, that's worth noting, who was a round 2 talent himself, just came out in the NFL draft this year. So he's already showed good production as a rookie. That's really what we're looking at. They've shown some signs of life and being good. Weeks 7 through 13, you've probably heard this 100 times, but weeks 7 through 13 as a rookie, he was a wide receiver 3 in fantasy with 17.7 points per game over that span. So 7-week span, 6-7-week span, that's pretty good sample. And the Cleveland Browns have already said, guys, that this season they want to have a more up-tempo offense that kind of fits to the strengths of Deshaun Watson. There's been some positive things already reported on Elijah Moore. They want to use him on the inside, the outside. They like his versatility and what he brings to that offense. Right now, only has to beat out Donovan Peoples-Jones to be the wide receiver 2 on that team. So I think he definitely has it in him to have some good games for us being paired with Deshaun Watson. We've seen Deshaun Watson, have some big games with Will Fuller. I think Elijah Moore, the way that he can stretch the field with his speed, I think he can have some big games next season. And I think if he does that in that Cleveland Browns offense, get some good rapport with Deshaun Watson, he's someone that could definitely increase his draft stock. If he finishes around a wide receiver 3, which I think is possible, he's someone that will definitely improve his draft stock going into the next season, and he'll still only be 24 years old. Now my next player, guys, he's kind of like a hybrid. He could be on your contender rosters or your pretender rosters, but this man is going to be Christian Watson from the Green Bay Packers. Wide receiver 30 on DLF. That's consensus DLF, so it's kind of rankings of a lot of people put together. And then on Keep Trade Cut, wide receiver 18. So that is high. I think still at wide receiver 18, guys, a mid wide receiver 2, that he still has some upside. Only 24 years old. This past season, guys, he had a great season. They had Aaron Rodgers there, so I know that could be kind of a way that you could work a trade out in your favor. You could say, hey, you know what, Jordan Love, right? If there's any reports of Jordan Love maybe not doing so well, or you can even just pitch the angle that, hey, you know, no more Aaron Rodgers, that big play upside is gone. But I think Christian Watson will still have room to grow next season and is a breakout candidate for me next year. So this past season as a rookie, guys, Christian Watson was 4th in yak per reception at 6.4. This was tied with A.J. Brown, so 4th in the NFL. He was 11th in yards per route run, right behind names like CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Cooper Kupp, with 2.26 yards per route run. He finished as a wide receiver 33 in fantasy points per game. That was 11.7 fantasy points per game. That was right behind Garrett Wilson, guys. Garrett Wilson was a wide receiver 31 in fantasy points per game with 12.6. So I definitely am not saying that he's on the same level as Garrett Wilson, but it's worth noting that he was right behind him in fantasy points per game. So he did get a lot of touchdowns, guys, over that span, but the counterpoint to that, guys, is he's 6'4". He's a 6'4" freak athlete. Ran a 4.3, 640. He was basically a 90th percentile athlete. And he had a 38.5-inch vertical at the NFL Combine, 25% target share in the red zone. I do not see that changing, guys. If you have a big athletic body type like that, he's going to get red zone targets. And I think he's still going to be a number 1 option, even for Jordan Love, possibly even a safety blanket for Jordan Love. Really, with Christian Watson, you could just throw it up. He's one of those guys just going to go get it. As a rookie, 15% target share. So those are good numbers. 2.26 yards per route run, like we mentioned. But one thing worth noting next season, guys, is his route participation is definitely going to go up. 56.9% route participation. So definitely has more ability to get out there on the field and increase his target share numbers, which were 15, which is still really good as a rookie. With those more targets is going to come more receptions and more opportunity to show that yak ability, which he has, that can make him such a valuable asset. So I think going into this season, Christian Watson is someone that I think if he has that increase in opportunity and target share and receptions, definitely someone that I think can improve his value going into that 2024 season. So the next player I'm going to be talking to you about, guys, going to give you a QB option, and this is going to be my number 1 target at the QB position if I am tanking for 2024 picks, and that is going to be Kyler Murray. So we know right now he's the QB 10 on DLF, QB 13 on Keep Trade Cut, and so far that's pretty much been his floor in fantasy, right? In 2019 as a rookie was the QB 7 overall, QB 10 in points per game. Then in next season he was the QB 6 in points per game, QB 6 again, then the QB 8 this past season in points per game. So I think there's definitely a lot of upside with Kyler, guys. Right now, I've seen him go in trades for a pretty fair price. I think even during the season, he might be a little cheaper, right? Because people are going to start coming around. He tore his ACL late in the year. He's probably going to miss the first few weeks of the season, maybe even start out on the PUP. And if he does, guys, and he misses those first 6 games and the Cardinals are just off to a bad start, I think he's someone that we could buy for cheap. If he's on a contending roster, right, whoever has Kyler Murray is probably a good team, probably on a contender roster. You can probably switch out somebody that's going to get that team points and help them win, and you can snag Kyler from their roster for the future for your dynasty team that's going to be competing in the next few years. So try and go out and get you some shares of Kyler Murray on your rebuilding rosters. It might be better to do it by once we're getting close to season and he's going to be missing, the reports are out that he's going to be missing time, but I've seen him go for pretty fair deals already right now. So the last player we're going to be talking about, and probably my number one buy for rebuilding rosters and really for competing rosters, I think you can get this player also because I think he's going to have a good finish in fantasy this season. But he's someone that I still think is a little bit undervalued, and I'm anticipating a big season from Mr. Jerry Jeudy. And I think if that were to happen, guys, I think his value can still go up. I think you can get him right now, probably for late first. And I think he's someone that can definitely go up in value this next season. With Russell Wilson coming in to year 2, I think we got Sean Payton there. So I think this offense is going to definitely be better. So looking at Jerry Jeudy, guys, in the games where he was on the field for more than 70% of the snaps, which was a big sample size, guys. It's 11 games. There's 11 games where he played 70% or more. As you know, he battled with some injuries last season. In those games, 17.7 points per game. That is good enough for the wide receiver 7. That would have been tied with CeeDee Lamb. So in Dynasty, there used to be that debate, right? Who was a better receiver to take, CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, right? For fantasy, it's not really a debate anymore. But I think that Jerry Jeudy can definitely have himself a big season. If he stays healthy this season, guys, Jerry Jeudy is going to smash on the Denver Broncos. Last year, he was 3rd in the NFL in average separation, 3.7 yards average separation per target. So he gets open. I think that him and Russell Wilson going to have a big season this year. So get yourself some Jerry Jeudy while you still can, while he's still cheap, because I think his value is going to skyrocket after this season. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be having a video of my top buys for contending or competing rosters out soon. Keep a lookout for it. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out some of our videos and support the fam.